Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello, my name is Anvita. I love to read books and I love to talk about books, and today's video is going to be about recent releases, about 2024 releases, and also mainly about the Goodreads awards nominees, selections and stuff. And so I haven't really looked at the list or like what's been nominated and stuff, but I'm going to look at it now with you guys and then choose and vote for the ones in each category that I've read and loved, and yeah, basically talk about the books that are on the list. And yeah, so I feel like I've read a good amount of books that came out this year, but I've also not read a lot of them, so I don't know how many I'm even gonna find on the Goodreads awards list that I have read. But I did see that apparently graphic novel is not a category anymore and children's is not a category anymore, and that's just so dumb to me. Like, I don't know why they would do that. Like, I don't understand. And also I think they added romantasy as a category or something. I am not completely sure, but I am going to open it up now and look at it, and then you can see. Yeah, it's time for the Goodreads Choice Awards. That's what it's called. Goodreads Choice Awards 2024. I do use Goodreads quite a lot. It's not my favorite platform, but I use instead of like leaving one, I instead just use all the ones I like, which all the ones for different purposes. Like for Goodreads, I like seeing the challenge, the way it's set up in Goodreads. I like seeing that, but I hate that there's no like 0.5 for ratings and stuff. But also the community part of it, like I think most of the people I know on Bookstagram and stuff follow me on this, but not on my other two reading platforms that I use, and which are Storygraph, which I keep for myself and like maybe like one or two friends who see it. And I really like Storygraph because it has the 0.5 system, and also it does have the challenge thing. I like seeing it more on Goodreads, so I keep it on Goodreads. But yeah, I do Storygraph as well. I like it also because of its streak of like reading and like being able to see how many pages I read in a day and stuff, which is nice. And then I also use Fable because my book club is on there, and then I like seeing my description change. I like seeing them change after each book I add to my read list. And so yeah, I like that. I like the community. I like the feed aspect of Fable more also because it shows me not according to who I follow and who follows me and stuff, but it actually shows me people's posts about the books and stuff that I have on my list, either in my like I've read it or I have it on my shelves on Fable, like things like that. So I really enjoy that part. Yeah, I also like I like the streak system more on Fable because then I can like tick I read today and like, you know, all that stuff. So, but anyway, Goodreads is one that I use often. I do update it quite often with okay, let me see. Okay, let's get started. Goodreads Choice Awards 2024. Nominees on your shelves: The Spell Shop, which I haven't read, and 5 Broken Blades, which I also haven't read. Nice. Oh, this only came out yesterday. I was wondering how everyone was suddenly talking about it. It came out yesterday. I was like, why don't I know these things? Anyways, vote in the opening round. Let's go. Reader's favorite fiction. Okay, I already see Welcome to the Hyunamdong Bookshop, which is a book I have read. Out of these so far, I have only read that. Someone recommended The Wedding People to me, so I have heard of it, and I think I might read it at some point. Yeah, Intermezzo, I'm still on the fence about if I want to read it or not, because I don't know if I'm gonna like Sally Rooney's works. I haven't tried them, but like what I've heard of them, I don't know if I like it. But like I've heard also a lot of people who've hated all her other books loved Intermezzo, and so maybe, yeah, we shall see. Oh, I've read Martyr also, loved it. It was so cool. It was so good. Yeah. Haven't read Blue Sisters, but I read Cleopatra and Frankenstein, and I figured it's not for me. But also a lot of other people who have read Cleopatra and Frankenstein and hated it enjoyed Blue Sisters. So I don't know. But it's just what I've heard of the story and stuff, like I feel like it's not for me. So probably won't read it. Good Material is also on my TBR because I read Everything I Know About Love in like 2021, I think, and really loved it, but I haven't read Ghosts yet or anything else by her, and I want to, so at some point. Yeah, I do want to read Wandering Stars as well. I haven't heard of it, but I've heard of Tommy Orange, and I want to read their works, so yeah, I think in terms of being, since out of these I've only read Welcome to the Hyunamdong Bookshop and Martyr, I'm gonna have to go with Martyr because that, yeah. Okay, that was reader's favorite fiction. Next category, reader's favorite historical fiction. Let's see. I don't read a lot of historical fiction, so I feel like there's not going to be a single one that I've probably read. Yeah, I have not read any of these. I have not read any of these. I've heard of The Woman by Kristen Hanna, but again, I want to read The Lion Women of Tehran. Let me put that on my want to read. I haven't read anything by Marjan Kamali, I think, but I want to read it. I think she wrote, there's a famous other book that she wrote, The Stationery Shop, which I think my sister has at home, and I haven't read it. So I'm gonna, I think, start with that at some point and then read this because I want to. Yeah, but I haven't read any of these, so I will not be voting in this round. Mystery and thriller, reader's favorite mystery and thriller. The God of the Woods I've heard about and I want to read it at some point. I also want to read The Night We Lost Him because I've seen that a lot. I also want to read The Boyfriend. I did, if you saw my my Sharjah Book Fair vlog and book haul, then you know that I got The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, so I can finally start my Frida McFadden's book journey. And so hopefully I will get to The Boyfriend very soon after that. I'm like very much in a mystery thriller binge right now. I've been binge reading Jennifer Lynn Barnes' The Naturals series at the moment, and I'm on the last book, and so after that maybe I'll switch to, you know, Frida McFadden's books and get through those, so we shall see. Also, How to Solve Your Own Murder is one that I've seen in the bookstore a lot, and I was almost tempted to get it, but then I didn't. So maybe I will read it at some point. Lucy Foley's The Midnight Feast is also on my TBR because I read, I think, what's it called? I read something by Lucy Foley and I enjoyed it. It was the one where it's like an island, it's a wedding. The wedding, what's it called? I don't remember the name. It's like a white cover. The Guest, The Wedding Guest, something like that, maybe. But I've read something by Lucy Foley and I enjoyed it, and so I want to read The Midnight Feast. And I also have been contemplating getting into Riley Sager's works because it was, I can't remember which book it was, but there was a book, one or two books by Riley Sager that like a lot of people were talking about a couple years back on Bookstagram, and so I want to read that. I also want to read The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. I have a book by Rachel Hawkins that I haven't read yet, and it's a mystery thriller, and so I want to get through that and then get to this because I haven't read anything by her, but if I like the one I have by her, then I'll get to this as well at some point. Again, The Teacher by Frida McFadden, another one on my list because I want to read her works. Okay, so the only book in this list that I've read is The Mystery Guest by Nita Prose. Yeah, I also want to read Richard Osman's We Solve Murders. I haven't read The Thursday Murder Club yet, but I want to read that soon. That is also another, like, I need to get through that. And so once I do, I will read We Solve Murders as well. Yeah, Nita Prose, Nita Prose, The Mystery Guest, which is the second book in the Maid series, is the only one that I've read in this, but I don't think I would vote for it because I don't think I loved it as much to call it a favorite mystery and thriller. Does that make sense? Yeah, so I'm not gonna be voting, but I will be taking down the names of all of these books and then reading it soon. Oh wait, I just saw this. Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. I read a book by Geneva Rose. I think it was called One of Us is Dead or something like that. And it was really good. And so I want to read this as well now. So did not see it earlier. Emiko Jean. Why does that name sound familiar too? Emiko Jean. Is that who wrote Tokyo Ever After? Yeah, oh my god, did not realize she was writing thrillers, mystery thrillers. Maybe I'll check that out as well. Okay, anyways, moving on to romance. This probably will have, yeah, it already, I see books I've read in this. I've read Funny Story by Emily Henry. I haven't read the other three in this row. And then in this row, I've read Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood and Not the Others. And then in this one, I've read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez and Not the Others. And then in this one, I have not read a single one of these. And then this last row, I made it halfway through the pairing of Casey McQuiston, and then I either got in a slump or I just, like, it's good and I was enjoying it and I still want to read it and finish it, but the characters are a bit of a disaster and I feel like maybe that's what I'm not in the mood for right now, which is why I'm like not willing to pick it up right now. So yeah, but hopefully I will finish it at some point. Yeah, anyways, so out of this I have actually fully read Just for the Summer, Not in Love, and Funny Story. And out of that list, and like just in general in terms of romance, because also if you have been watching my other videos, then you know that I've had a bit of a romance book drought this year, just because I haven't, like, most of this year I wasn't in the mood for romance, and so I was barely reading romance books. And so yeah, there are very few romance books I think that I actually read this year, like adult romance I would say. But I think my favorite was Just for the Summer in terms of this list. Yeah. Okay, romantasy. Let's see what's here. Okay, I have the spell shop on my TBR. I have the physical book, so I need to read it at some point. I don't know about any of these other books. Honey Witch also I've heard about and is probably on my TBR. Apprentice to the Villain, I want to read the first book in the series. Assistant to the Villain, yeah. So at some point. But I didn't realize this would be romantasy. What's a fantasy aspect? I thought this would be more like mystery. I don't know. The name gave me mystery vibes. Yeah, so I haven't read a single one of these books. Yeah. Anyways, I guess I will not be voting in the romantasy section. Fantasy, I think I probably have read at least one fantasy book on the list, hopefully. Okay, T. Kingfisher's works are on my TBR. I've read, I'm forgetting what it's called. Thornhedge, yeah. Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher, and so I want to read other works by them. And then, yeah, I also have Nettle and Bone on my TBR somewhere, and so I want to read that as well at some point. What else? I want to read Emily Wilde's map of an encyclopedia or something. I don't remember what the first book is called, but Emily Wilde series by Heather Fawcett. I want to read those at some point. I need to be in like the right mood for it, I feel like, because this is, again, it's giving cozy fantasy and I need to be in the right mood for that, because usually when I'm picking fantasies I want the angst and the tension and the need to throw the book across the room and like all that stuff. So let's see. I also want to read, I actually don't know if I want to read The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, because I waited to hear people's reviews before I considered buying it, and all the reviews I heard were not as great. So, and like the reviews are by people whose judgment I trust when it comes to books. So maybe someday I will give it a try, but I feel like also with Leigh Bardugo's books, I have Hellbent still, I need to still read it, and so at some point maybe I will get to it, but not anytime soon. What's this? Interesting. I've read When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. I really loved it. I read this pretty soon. I got this at Y'all West in LA, and I met the author and got her to sign my book and stuff as well. And then I think I read it like a week or two after that and really enjoyed it. It's the short story, highly recommend. Yeah. Five Broken Blades is on my TBR. I really want to read it at some point. I've read A Song to Drown Rivers by Anne Leung. It was okay. I feel like it wasn't fleshed out well enough for it to give everything the story needed, I think. So yeah, I did really enjoy When Among Crows, so I think I'm gonna vote for that. Yeah. Next, science fiction. I barely read science fiction, even though my favorite book of all time is a science fiction book. I need to get into it. I know I need to get into it, and hopefully maybe this will give me like recommendations for books to read in the science fiction category. Or if you have any recommendations, let me know, because I need that. I need to read more. This I've heard about, The Family Experiment by John Mars. I think I saw it somewhere, or like some other book of his, but yeah, I don't know what it's about. I will check the blurb another time and maybe read it. So I've seen the cover of Annie Bought a lot as well. Never mind, I have read a book in science fiction. I've read The Ministry of Time. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, that's the only book I've read in this list. I think it was a good book in terms of its science fiction and stuff, but I think it didn't cover a lot of the stuff that I wanted. Like, there were still questions and stuff I had afterwards. I think it needed to delve deeper into some of the topics it shared, but like it didn't. And like it also was like trying to be many different things. Like, it was science fiction with all this stuff, but like then there was like the romance aspect of it, and then there was the, I don't know, just there was a lot happening, and like the end I feel like needed to be written out in way more words than it was. Like, it needed to be explained more, I feel like. So I will not vote for it because I mean, it was a good debut and it was a good book, but I feel like it could have been much better. Like, there was so much to go into in it, you know? So next is horror. I probably don't have any books that I've read in this list either because I don't read horror much. Yeah, these already, just like looking at them, it sounds scary. So T. Kingfisher, okay, maybe I will read this because I want to read T. Kingfisher. So you never know, maybe What Feasts at Night will be an exception to the rule. Yeah. Oh, I've heard about Bury Your Case as well. And also this one, I Was a Teenage Slasher. But yeah, I have not read a single one of these. So anyways, moving on to debut novel. Oh, I want to read Masquerade. The cover is stunning and it just sounds so good. Yeah. Hyunamdong Bookshop I've read. And then Martyr I've read. Ministry of Time I've read. Yeah, those are the ones. How Do I Know Love Story I've heard mixed reviews about, so I don't know if I'll end up reading it. But yeah, since I really loved Martyr, I'm gonna vote for that as the debut novel. That's like, it's insane that that is a debut novel. It's so good. Okay, audiobook. I do love listening to audiobooks, but I don't know if I've listened to any of 2024 releases audiobooks. So let's see. Yeah, I did not listen to any of these in... Yep. Yeah, I have not listened to any of these, so I will not be voting in this category. Yeah. Young adult fantasy. I probably have some in here. Air. Yep, Air is in here. I knew it would be. Okay, so I've read The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. I did like it, but I think the first book was much better in this series. And I think the point of view of it being Oak's point of view in this really limited the book in terms of what we could have known. And like what, like the way it was revealed and stuff didn't feel as like some things, like I can't go into detail obviously, but yeah, there was just some things that it was limited because some scenes that were limited because they were just from Oak's perspective, the entire book. And so yeah, I did enjoy Stolen Air a lot more than The Prisoner's Throne. And Air, of course, I love it. I loved it. It was everything and it was beautiful, and I can't wait for book 2. I will probably be voting for this, but let me look through the rest of the options. I haven't read any of these other books, by the way, but I've seen So Let Them Burn, the cover a lot, and I think also another book series maybe by this author, because the covers seem familiar, as in not that this is the first book, if that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, this looks interesting. Okay, let me add it to my list. Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. I also need to get into the Brandon Sanderson world ASAP. I have Mistborn series first and second book, and hopefully I can get to that soon and then start with that entire backlist. So yeah, at some point. But also I want to read Emily Varga's For She Is Wrath as well. Bethany Baptist's books as well I want to read. I saw her speak at Y'all West at one of the events, and so I'm excited to read something by her soon. I haven't read any of these. Ruthless Vows and Divine Rivals is on my TBR, but I haven't got into it yet. So hopefully soon. Tahir Mafi series, this one I haven't read yet. At some point I'll get to it. I want to read Your Blood, My Bones as well, because I read The Whispering Dark earlier this year and I enjoyed it. But I think it was also her first book, and I think there was potential for it to be even better. But I enjoy the writing a lot, and so I want to read her other books as well. So, and I also want to read Where the Dark Stands Still, because someone on Bookstagram whose recommendations I trust a lot really like was recommending this to everyone, and so I want to read that. I have read Immortal Dark and I loved it a lot, and so yeah, this is hard. I knew young adult fantasy was gonna be hard, so it's between Air and Immortal Dark for me. Yeah, because those are the two I've read in this, and then The Prisoner's Throne. Air and Immortal Dark. It has to be Air, I know, but like it just hurts. Like Immortal Dark is really good. Yeah, it has to be Air. Okay, young adult fiction. Is there a separate category for romance, or is this gonna have romance? I think this is not gonna have, no, it is gonna have romance. Okay, anyways, I haven't read The Grandest Games, but I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos, but I haven't finished, or like I haven't read The Brothers Hawthorne yet, and I want to get to that before I can read The Grandest Game. This is set a year after that, I think. So I want to read The Brothers Hawthorne and then get to this, but I don't like The Brothers Hawthorne is divided into kind of like two brothers and like their point of views kind of, and then Avery's point of view obviously. And so one of the brothers I don't like. I don't want to be in his head. I don't want to, read things from his perspective. And the book starts off with him and like his storyline, I guess. And so at some point I want to get to it, but I don't know when that will be. Yeah, anyways, I have also wanted to read When the World Tips Over, because I saw a lot of other authors talking about it and how they love it. And so yeah, I haven't read the other book that's really popular by Jandy Nelson, but maybe I'll get to it. I also want to read Death at Morning House by Maureen Johnson, because I've read every book that's out for Truly Devious and I love Hate It because the romance in it is not romance in my perspective, but love it because the mystery is good. The boarding school, young adult, like high schoolers solving crime, or like solving cases is always gonna get me, and so I love it. Yeah, and that's why also the book series I'm reading right now, I'm just flying through because I love it so much. I have read The Reappearance of Rachel Price. As you know, if you've seen my other videos or if you've seen my channel, then you know that I have a reading vlog for The Reappearance of Rachel Price. You can check it out here, which I loved. It was really good. I've also read I Hope This Doesn't Find You by Anne Leung, and this was like one of my favorite books this year, like favorite young adult romances this year, and I read a lot of young adult romances. So yeah. What else? Most Ardently is one that's on my TBR kind of. I've heard a bit about it, not a whole lot. I've heard, I think, 1 or 2 people talk about it, and I also saw it at a bookstore when I was in LA, so it's on my list. Yeah. Gwen and Art Are Not in Love is one I've read. I read it recently and I enjoyed it, but I think for me, because the hype for this was so much on Bookstagram, I was expecting more for some reason, but without those expectations, I loved it. But yeah, I think I was let down a little because of those expectations. So Where Sleeping Girls Lie is also on my TBR because I read Ace of Spades a couple years back and wow, so good. So I really want to read her new book. Dungeons and Drama I've seen around. Don't know if I want to read it. I don't know much about it also, but maybe. It looks cute. So yeah. And then A Crane Among Wolves is also on my TBR. I really want to read it at some point. And I'm just noticing this book, That's Not My Name. It looks like a mystery thriller, kind of. Yeah, it sounds fun. So I'm gonna add it to my TBR and maybe read it at some point. Yeah. Oh wait, I have to vote. I forgot. Okay, so out of these, I have read The Reappearance of Rachel Price, and I Hope This Doesn't Find You, and Gwen and Art Are Not in Love. I think, let me think. I think it's gonna be I Hope This Doesn't Find You, because Gwen and Art is out. It's between Reappearance of Rachel Price and I Hope This Doesn't Find You, but I think a lot of stuff in Rachel Price was predictable, even though there were some moments that like really shocked me and stuff. Like there were still some parts that I guessed at. So, and I Hope This Doesn't Find You, I finished in a day. Like I literally, not even a day, in a night. I started it at like, I think 10 p.m. and I just stayed up late finishing the book because I could not put it down. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with I Hope This Doesn't Find You. Okay, next category is nonfiction. I have, again, if you watched my other videos then you know, I've barely read any nonfiction this year. So I probably won't have any on this list that I've read. These also sound like stuff I don't want to read. How to Tell When We Will Die. Oh, I want to read The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I've read, what's the other book? What's the one that, Between the World and Me, I think. Between the World and Me. I read this in, I think, 2020, 2021. So I do want to read The Message. And also because I saw someone on Bookstagram talking a lot about it and how like it has a lot of messages in it that is like really important and really like important for now, like for the time period, and like just yeah, and like yeah, so I want to read it. Yeah, but besides that, I don't know. Yeah, Anyways, I have not read a single one of these. Memoir, I might have one, maybe. I don't remember which ones I've read this year, but I don't know if I've read any that actually came out this year. So let's see. I have not read any of these. Yeah, I have not read any of these. So yeah, some of these look really interesting though. I will add them to my audiobook list because I love listening to memoirs as audiobooks, especially when they're narrated by the author themselves, because then it's like you're hearing their story or like their life through their mouth or their words. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, history and biography, I probably will not have any in this either. Yeah. Oh my god, this was the last one. That's so insane that they took away graphic novel, middle grade and children's. Like, that's actually insane. Do they think only children read those? I'm sorry. What? That is crazy. Yeah. I read so many good graphic novels this year, and I can't remember off the top of my head if I read any middle grade, but I probably did. And yeah, they should have what's it called? Like, why remove? I don't understand why they would remove the categories. Like, fine, you want to add romantasy as a category, do that, but like, why remove two other categories that have been there for so long and that people do read, adult people do read? Makes no sense to me. Yeah, but anyways, off the top of my head, I probably would have voted for graphic novel. I probably would have voted for Molly Knox Ostertag's I'm forgetting the name of the book. It literally I got it at Y'all West. It came out, let me look up the name. The Deep Dark by Molly Knox Ostertag. I probably would have voted for that if there was still a graphic novel section, but there isn't. Yeah. I can't remember if I read any middle grade actively this year. I know I read some last year and the year before, but yeah. Like, why would they do that? Like, it makes no sense. I keep thinking that, like, why? Why? Anyways, yeah. That was all for this video. That was me voting for the Goodreads Choice Awards 2024. If anyone working at Goodreads is watching this by any chance, bring back graphic novel and middle grade sections, like categories. Why? Anyways, yeah, that was all for this video. Let me know which books you've read from these lists, or which books you're planning on voting for each category. And yeah, if any of these books that I was talking about that I haven't read also in these categories and you want me to read them, let me know. Yeah, anyways, that was all for this video. I will see you guys next time, next Monday, 5 p.m. IST. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a good rest of the week.